What is up, YouTube? Welcome to Panfro Games, and today we're going to be covering a Pokemon Unite tier list featuring the Blastoise patch. And a couple of things have changed since the last tier list, so definitely want to stay tuned for this one. And before we dive in, if you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe to the channel here. I really appreciate it. And also check out my other Pokemon Unite videos. So the big difference since the Blastoise patch is obviously Blastoise was added to the game, and he has been a huge game changer in my opinion. And a couple of my other thoughts on characters has changed. Some characters went up, some characters went down. So let's just dive right in and cover everything. And the only not released character on this list is Clefable, which I don't know will actually ever be added to the game, but we'll just keep her there for now. And as you can see, S is our best ranking, and then G down here for Garchomp. We skip D and just go all the way to Garchomp tier. So honestly, let's just dive right in at the very beginning, and we're gonna do this in order. So I'm gonna start with Blastoise up in S tier, and S tier is a tier I think these are the best Pokemon in the meta, and I think they're potentially broken and may need to be nerfed. And that is where I think about Blastoise. Blastoise is a defender, however, he's really an all-arounder. This Pokemon is insanely good at anything he does. He has too many builds, honestly. He has the Surf and Hydro Pump build, and Rapid Spin, Hydro Pump, Rapid Spin, Water Spout. And man, is Rapid Spin, Water Spout busted. Surf Hydro Pump's also pretty busted too. This Pokemon does insane amount of damage. He has the best way to secure objectives with Rapid Spin and Water Spout, and also his ultimate is insane. It does so much damage. It's like they gave a defender an attacker ultimate. It's like getting hit by Greninja's ultimate, but it 360 AoE around Blastoise, and it knocks everyone up too, and it can take out objectives. It's crazy. He can even jungle from my experience. He's a pretty solid jungler. But yeah, this Pokemon is a total menace. Whatever build you go in, you really can't go wrong for the most part. And man, the whole Rapid Spin function of this Pokemon is super cool, and how they really just made Blastoise in such a unique Pokemon. This game's awesome, but I do think he does need to tone down his damage a bit. He's very tanky, but ooh, he just does a little bit too much damage right now. And I mean, they don't need to necessarily change the moves more than damage, maybe a little bit more cooldown, but besides that, I think the Rapid Spin Water Spout is probably the thing that needs to be looked at the most on his move set. So we're gonna keep him right in S tier. And then from S to Garchomp tier, we're going to Garchomp. So I think Garchomp's actually the worst Pokemon in the game, honestly. And Garchomp tier is the reason why I list Garchomp tier is because in Solo's Master Q, right? Because I only play Solos ranked in Masters, right? Garchomp, whenever I have Garchomp on my team or Garchomp's on the other team, the team with Garchomp will always lose. Because this Pokemon is a constant 4v5 situation. This Pokemon does not turn on until level 10. Like, it is off. It is the hardest off. There is no power going to the electricity here. There's straight up like nothing going on. If he takes the jungle slot, you lose your ganks in jungle, like straight up. It's over. If he's in lane, you lose that lane. This Pokemon provides no real pressure. Even at Gabai, it's just not enough pressure or damage, and he just doesn't have enough bulk to survive. And out of all of the all-arounders, he's just easily the weakest and doesn't really provide much. He's honestly just a much worse Charizard is probably the best analogy I can think of. And he's all melee, and his ultimate is like probably the most redeeming part of him, but it's not the easiest to use, honestly, considering what you like. I mean, you do a lot of damage, but considering what you're doing with it, there's just so many better characters that can do what Garchomp does, and by the time you get to Garchomp, you're probably already lost the game. And it's just one of those sad facts where it's like you probably already lost to Dreadnoughts multiple times. If it's going to be like a fair, even situation, if both teams are evenly matched in player skill, then the Garchomp team's going to lose every single time. So that's how I feel about Garchomp. And Zeraora is actually going to go up a little bit since last time. I'm going to put him in B tier. So I actually had him in C tier. I'm going to put him up a little bit higher now, just because Zeraora, you may not want to see him in your jungle. I don't think you want to see speedsters, honestly. However, if you do see a Zeraora on your team, he can provide a lot of damage still. That ultimate's still a free kill on pretty much any character. Great at sniping objectives. Discharge does a lot of damage, and for some reason Discharge is glitched right now and is allowed to crit, which is it's not supposed to crit, but when Discharge crits, it's actually crazy. So I think because of that, I'll put him in B. B tier is like better than average, but it's definitely the Pokemon can use a lot of improvements to hit that A or S tier. I just wouldn't personally use Zeraora over something like Greninja or Cinderace in a jungle role. However, if you don't have those guys in your jungle, Zeraora isn't the worst pick, and he is really good in the early game, and he doesn't fall off in the late game like some other speedsters. So I think that's a good position for him. And then I think Pikachu is your most average ranged attacker, and honestly the worst attacker in the game. Pikachu just is too squishy. He doesn't like do a lot of damage overall in the late game. Had peaks at level 4 and 5, which is insane. However, you like once you hit level 6, the drop off is real, and at that point you don't just output enough damage. Your range isn't as crazy as some like a Venusaur to have that little amount of health. Your damage just doesn't really compare to like Greninja or even Cinderace in that regard, and your movement isn't the best either. And if someone catches up to you, you just pretty much get destroyed. And you know, at least like with someone like Venusaur, who's sort of similar, where if someone jumps on Venusaur, they're probably dead. At least Venusaur has a cannon and has like the best sniping ability in the game, while Pikachu is just very average all around and just overall very squishy. So actually, another update since last time, we're gonna put Gengar into Garchomp tier. So now this becomes the G tier, or we're gonna rename this to Gengar, or let's call it Garchomp and Gengar. Okay, yeah, this is the Gargar. Wow, that actually worked out unexpectedly. I'm actually really surprised. I was not planning that. Gargar tier. Yep, Gengar's same issue as the Garchomp. You need to become Gengar to turn on. This Pokemon has awful laning ability. If this Pokemon is not jungling, like at least this Pokemon, like it needs to jungle, and it is better than Garchomp in that regard. So I guess I'll put him up a little bit above Garchomp. However, he does not get the C tier because they just killed this Pokemon when they nerfed the Hex Sludge Bomb build, and then the Dream Eater build is like, it's just not good enough, and you're just so squishy. You have no iframes anymore, and you know, like you do have some burst damage still, which is why he's higher than Garchomp. Like I feel like at least his ultimate provides a lot of good like sneaky kills still. However, playing this Pokemon just puts you in a perpetual 4v5 situation the entire time, and you know, whenever I play with a Gengar on my team, I lose. Whenever I play against a Gengar, they lose. It's just one of those things where it just does not feel great. And Crustal is going to go into C tier, and I personally think is the worst defender in the game right now. Crustal, the issue with Crustal is Crustal doesn't really play the defender role. He plays like this bruiser. Like he's pretty much just a bruiser, sort of more similar to an all-arounder at this point. I mean, your only forms of crowd control is X-Scissor, and X-Scissor, I mean, is a good move. It does stun. However, you know, you do have to get all 3 hits to get your maximum damage, and what this Pokemon does best is Shell Smash and Backdoor. However, like you don't always want to be backdooring. Crustal players can be very frustrating overall, and I think it is hard to climb with Crustal if you're going to exclusively go with Crustal. So far, like, I think if you're in C tier or below, it's going to be really hard for you to climb on the rank ladder, and I just would not recommend like using these guys to climb to rank masters solo queue, and it's just not worth it in my opinion. And yeah, I know there's the whole Stealth Rock Crustal build, but it's more of a meme. There's just better defenders that do that. I mean, honestly, like the fact that Stealth Rock doesn't give us slow until the upgraded version is very unfortunate. I think it maybe could be B tier at that point, but even then, he's solid in lane, but laning really ends once the first Dreadnought happens, and after that, it's just like, well, I guess I'm just backdooring, or I'm just gonna try to survive in fights as long as possible. Like, yeah, he's good at surviving, but sort of it, honestly. Talonflame is also gonna be in this C tier. I'll put Talonflame here. Actually, I'll put Crustal ahead of Pikachu. But yeah, and I'll put Talonflame ahead of Pikachu actually. Because Talonflame, the issue with Talonflame is, once again, speedsters don't exist in this meta just because Greninja, Garchomp, Greninja, Cinderace, just the best junglers in the game. Talonflame, I mean, really great ganks. He's so good at ganking. However, the issue is this Pokemon wants to dive in and kill you. The issue is this Pokemon has like no HP, some of the lowest defensive stats in the entire game, if not the lowest, and just totally gets destroyed, you know? So it's just not, this character needs a rework badly. I have them higher than Gengar and Garchomp because their damage outburst is great. Their ultimate actually does provide utility with sweeping the enemy. And if Talonflame gets fed early, it's over. This is one of those Pokemon that can potentially snowball. They do fall off in late game, but in early and mid game, they are very strong. Especially once they hit their second form, they're incredibly strong. So I think Talonflame does have some viability. Very average overall, but it is not as bad as someone like Gengar. And this is... Ooh, I'm gonna skip Venusaur for now because I really want to mold my thoughts on that. I'm gonna put Charizard in a B tier here. Charizard, very good Pokemon. It's a good all-arounder. He does everything an all-arounder needs to do. Charmander is fairly weak overall. It has a good auto attack. Charizard's ultimate is one of the best ultimates in the game, man. I think a lot of people are sleeping on that ultimate. It's very good, very dangerous, and it's hard to kill Charizard, and Charizard just chooses someone and kills them. So very good overall. Not a great jungler, and if you're a Charizard player, please don't jungle. Just don't jungle, stay in lane. Your laning's good enough, and you can climb with Charizard. It's gonna be a little bit harder, but at least like in the late game, you don't completely fall off. You can win some like 1v2s or 1v3s if you play your cards right and you use your moves correctly. Charizard definitely has a bit of a skill cap to him, but I mean overall, he's definitely not broken. He's definitely a character that if he gets caught, he can be done, but he does have a decent amount of HP, so you do have some leniency in that overall. But yeah, Charizard's pretty solid overall. And then we got Absol, and I'm gonna put Absol in low B tier under Zeraora. My reasoning is Absol, similar to Talonflame, has a really extremely good early game. The best early game here, pretty good mid game, and then falls off late game. However, if the Absol was able to snowball in early and mid game, then their late game is I hit level 15 while the enemies are level 13. So yeah, getting over leveled, of course, any character who gets over leveled is gonna, have the same reality. But I think Absol has some of the easier times snowballing in that case. The issue with Absol is right now, once again, it's a speedster. Speedsters don't exist in the meta. You don't want to jungle with this character because Greninja, Cinderace is just characters that exist, and you don't want to take that spot from those Pokemon. So that's why Absol sort of doesn't exist. And if you lane with Absol, you just lose the lane automatically, which is very bad. Honestly, I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna put Absol and C behind Crustal, actually, because now that I think about it, like at least Zeraora late game is like he's killing, like he's not useless. Useless character in late game, Absol, unfortunately. And like I said, like if you hit level 15, you're gonna win anyways. Like with any character, it doesn't matter. And there's other characters that you can get to that level higher and faster too. I mean, not higher, but obviously faster. So this is controversial in my opinion, and this may be a redemption story for me, but I'm gonna put Venusaur in 8th here. I know he finally made it. I really respect Solar Beam. Solar Beam is crazy. Solar Beam, crazy damage. One of the best moves in the entire game. I think it's like a top 3 move. One of the best moves for securing objectives, similar to Blastoise. Just this Pokemon has a kit for securing objectives. Sludge Bomb's constant damage over time, great for Zapdos and Dreadnought. Great for making sure enemies can't score on a tower. Sort of like a ranged Blastoise in that way, because instead of being like there with rapid spin, like he just shoots out a Sludge Bomb to like, okay, this is like we're doing damage here, and then he can defend from a range perspective with Solar Beam. And Solar Beam, one of the best moves for sniping. It's crazy. It is a range power-up punch at the end of the day. The only issue with Venusaur is it's very squishy. It doesn't have any escape tools. Its escape tool is he kills you. But if you have a character with like a dodge or some sort of dash, then yeah, you're not gonna get hit by Solar Beam, and that pretty much locks down Venusaur completely. Really good ultimate that can snipe objectives as well and take out multiple enemies at once. Very good. It's a really good Pokemon. Hard to play though. I can see like why people wouldn't want him, put him in A, because he is definitely one of the hardest champions to play in the game. So I can see why people wouldn't rank him as high, but I think you can climb if you like are really good at Venusaur. You can definitely climb rank with this and hit masters pretty easily. And Mr. Mime, I'm gonna put him in low B. Mr. Mime is one of those weird Pokemon. He sort of has this issue with Crustal, like similar to Crustal, where he doesn't really play the support role. He's like a support attacker where he can do crazy damage if you go in attack mode using like confusion, and especially with hitting barriers. Like you can really destroy guys, and it's crazy how much burst damage that does. It does require a lot of skill to get those barriers off, but I mean your ultimate's really good overall. This is a Pokemon that's very annoying, and you know, I feel like I normally would keep a Pokemon like this in C tier, but I do recognize that there is a high skill cap to this Pokemon, and if you're good at setting up your barriers, you can really mess up a team's flow, trap certain enemies in. It's sort of like a better version of Crustal's wall at the end of the day, because you can follow up with the wall with your confusion and just splat someone, and that's a perfect way to kill like a Cinderace or Greninja in my opinion. So I'm gonna put Cramorant, Bubzera, Aura, and B tier. So this is, in my opinion, the second worst attacker in the game. But I mean, hey, B tier is solid. B and up is like Pokemon I wouldn't be mad about seeing in ranked solo queue with my teammates, honestly. Cramorant does pretty good damage overall. His ultimate's crazy. I think that's what makes this Pokemon good, is his ultimate's great for just taking out multiple enemies, is a huge AoE range. Also good for securing objectives. Incredible early game with Whirlpool. It's just nutty. Laning against this Pokemon is not fun, and this Pokemon can definitely try to steamroll you. Falls off a bit in the late game besides the ultimate. Air Slash is pretty good. If you're really good at landing Air Slashes and getting those cooldown reductions and spamming Air Slash, then you're going to have a lot of success with this Pokemon. I think right now Surf is better than Dive, though. I don't know. I feel like something needs to... We need some buffs for Cram, like a little bit of buffs. He got like some buffs in Nurse before, but right now it's just sort of this awkward position, but he's fine overall. And I'm going to put Gardevoir in the top of B tier. And I had this Pokemon in A tier last time. The reason why I'm lowering Gardevoir is because this Pokemon has Garchomp syndrome, where you need to hit level 10 to really start popping off. But when you pop off at level 10, it is insane the amount of damage you do. You completely reduce their special defense if you end up using, I believe, Psychic. And yeah, the ultimate can pentakill. That is a pentakill move. If you set up right, like, you can destroy an entire team, and while the ult's going off, you can start blasting them with like something like Psyshock. And Psyshock is why this Pokemon is like Psyshock and your ultimate, and Moonblast provides a stun. So it's really good, and especially goes well with a team that has special attackers, because you lower the special defense with Psychic, so you just do a lot of crazy damage with this Pokemon. The issue is Ralts is useless. Don't jungle with this Pokemon ever. You're just gonna be a 4v5 situation. In lane, you're sort of a 4v5 situation. It's just really bad. But at least when you hit Kirlia, you're useful, which is like a huge difference between like Gengar and Garchomp here. It's like Kirlia gets Psyshock, and it's like, okay, now I can defend, now I can do massive damage, I can pick off kills, and the moment you can start killing guys, you can really start ramping up your speed, and it makes it easier for you to farm as well. So that's why I put Gardevoir in B, honestly. Gardevoir, good Pokemon overall, but you know, I definitely was a bit overhyped on it. So I'm gonna put Alolan Ninetales ahead of Venusaur. And Alolan Ninetales is an offensive support Pokemon. It honestly should be a yellow background, because this is a damage support with how you should run it with Aurora Veil and Moonblast. You're just, or Dazzling Gleam, not Moonblast. You're just constantly freezing the enemy, stunning the enemy with Dazzling Gleam, and Aurora Veil is just getting off massive amounts of basic attacks off for you and your teammates. And it's so good for securing objectives, just to help out like someone like I would love to see Alolan Ninetales with like a Greninja or a Cinderace. And I think you do really good damage too. There is a bit of a skill cap to this character, because you're not really bursting down as many people as you would like to out on an attacker, unless you go for like Avalanche Blizzard. But personally, I think that build is just not as good as what you provide for the team with Aurora Veil and Dazzling Gleam. This Pokemon's just really fun. I love this Pokemon. Definitely still one of my mains overall. Just haven't used it too often at this point, just because of Blastoise, but you know, I still think Alolan Ninetales holds up pretty well. And then we got Eldegoss, who is an actual support, one of the 2 healers in the game, and very solid A-rank Pokemon. Incredible Pokemon overall. Lots of good healings, shields for the team. Incredible Pokemon to pair up Lucario, or any Pokemon that has Score Shield, because Score Shield, well, for Score Shield to be broken, you need to break the shields first. So if you're a Pokemon that can already provide your own shield, and then Eldegoss puts their shield on you, well, your shield's not going to get broken, and then you probably can win the game with that easy backdoor. So that's just one of those cool things with Eldegoss. A lot of team synergy going on, and can fill a lot of positions. Also, Eldegoss can actually get a lot of kills too. Ultimate's very good for picking up kills, especially towards the end of the game, and providing a nice defensive buff for your team. So Eldegoss is awesome, honestly. Definitely, if we're playing solo queue, like, don't mind picking up Eldegoss, because you'll be surprised with your results, honestly, if you're a good Eldegoss player. So now we got the best character in the game, Greninja, which is, I mean, what is there to say about this Pokemon? This Pokemon does everything well. I mean, its auto attacks are crazy. Up close and range do different things for his third boosted attack, and the up close is an execute. Goes perfectly with Surf. Surf is crazy, and then Smokescreen is just you get out for free from a fight, even with a 13-second cooldown. You still leave the fight for free, and then you can come back and just Surf and get your HP back. And it's just one of the. This is the perfect Pokemon for Pokemon Unite, and it's 100% gonna get nerfed. I think it's like with Blastoise, and it's pretty funny how the 2 water starters in their game is OP. Like, it's completely hilarious, honestly. But yeah, Greninja's is busted overall. I mean, fun Pokemon. I love playing him, but man, he is like the best jungler in the game, and it's messed up. He's completely like the main reason why Speedsters are not in the meta right now. And then speaking of the former king, our former best Pokemon at one point in the game, we're gonna go with Cinderace, and I'm gonna put Cinderace here actually above Eldegoss. Cinderace is just a worse version of Greninja, but that's still an incredible compliment. And if you're running teams of 5 or even in solo queue, you would love to see Cinderace on your team, or you would love to play Cinderace. If you can't play Greninja, then play Cinderace, because it's like playing the same character, but you can't go up close and kill them. That's the big difference. You can't go up close and get your HP back, but you can still be far away. You still have a really good ultimate, and you know, you can just kite and kill because your auto attacks are crazy. And especially if you start critting, it's gonna be, it's just Greninja, but no up close. Very cool character though. I love him. Also that pirate outfit is sick, so deserves to be an A rank just for the swag alone on the outfit, straight up. Okay, Snorlax is below Blastoise. Still S rank. I mean, best defender in the best real defender. I can't call Blastoise a defender, just because Blastoise, like, the best Blastoise build isn't like our actual defender, but technically he's a defender, so I guess Snorlax would be second best defender. Block is crazy. Heavy Slam's crazy. I mean, there's no moves in the game that are like block. And Snorlax even has a fun kill combo with what you use. I'm blanking on the move. The steroid move he has, and then using Yawn. He just has a lot of fun things he can do, and block will never be bad. I think Snorlax will forever always be S tier in this game, unless they remove block, because it is just a crazy move to have. It is always good, especially during Zapdos situations. Heavy Slam allows him the ability to snipe and knock up enemies, and honestly get free kills with Heavy Slam straight up. Just knocking up an enemy for that long is crazy alone. Then you also have the ability to put someone to sleep. He's probably the best lane partner in early game as well. He just does so much damage too for the early game, and he just doesn't die. He's a crazy Pokemon overall. Machamp. I'm gonna put Machamp in high B tier. So I did have an A tier below, but we're gonna lower him. Machamp, honestly, I think because of more Blastoise we're seeing, because Blastoise has no way to get thrown while he's doing a rapid spin, Machamp just really has no answer to that, and it's just, and because we're seeing so much Blastoise right now, Machamp's just falling harder and harder. He can jungle, but it's one of those situations where like, well, you can, but it's not great. I mean, Machoke is a good like gank, but however, you got to deal with, you know, having a Machop running around, and even in the lane, Machop's pretty weak. But once you hit Machoke, you're doing pretty good overall. But then I feel like Machamp sort of falls off. Like, yeah, avoiding hindrances is great and all, but at the same time, Machamp's burst damage is just not as high as these other characters. His defense is just not as high as some of these other characters. He's very well rounded overall, but he just doesn't have the brokenness of Blastoise, who I would consider an all-rounder at this point. So he's good. I mean, he doesn't, avoiding hindrances is very great. However, he can only do it for so long, and then he falls prey to the classic I got knocked up in melee character. And there's so many different characters that counter melee moves and items too. I mean, even Garchomp deals with that, especially something like Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff is a big reason why a lot of these melee characters are not high up, because Wigglytuff hard counters melee characters. As you notice, as you can see right now, from S and A, we only have one melee character, and that's a pure defender. Everyone else is ranged, which is hilarious, right? And even in B tier, like the melee characters we see is like Machamp, Charizard. I mean, Charizard's like actually range. Yeah, Charizard's range, actually. He does have a couple of physical moves, but, you know, he ends up being a range character. And Zeraora, yeah. So it's like Zeraora and Machamp are the only ones. Everyone else who is melee, going down to the bottom of the list here. I think Blissey's really good. Blissey's really good. So Blissey and Eldegoss are tied. They sort of do the exact same thing, but they do the same function, but they're sort of the exact opposite of each other. They're both healers. They both provide team support, and they both can provide shields as well. But you want to run with Blissey. Helping Hand to get that basic. Helping Hand is sort of like, hey, we're gonna give everyone that attack speed like Ninetales does, but it's a moving AoE around me, and everyone gets that boosted attack, and it's constantly spamming, so it's already crazy. On top of just constant healing, you and a buddy, really good. Good defensive ultimate as well. A bit tricky to use and not. I think the ultimate could be a bit better overall for this Pokemon, but if it was better, it would be easily S tier. I think Blissey's in a good spot and a very well-balanced Pokemon. Lucario is in our S tier as our best real all-arounder. This Pokemon has the best early game counter jungle. 100% can always steal the enemy's Pokemon all the time. Very easy for it to do that. Incredible early game, especially in bot lane. It can secure so many kills. Extreme Speed and Power Up Punch are both phenomenal moves. Power Up Punch being a bit better because it secures objectives. It is the best way to snipe Pokemon with an actual ability. It's pretty much Solar Beam, but Lucario does more damage based on how long he's holding the Power Up Punch, so you can actually end up doing more damage than Venusaur would do to a Zapdos. I think it's pretty much on par with Blastoise's ultimate, with the damage it can do, but Blastoise ends up doing that damage to everyone and knocks them all up. So that is why Blastoise is a little bit higher than Lucario here. Lucario, he may need to be turned down a little bit, just a little bit. I think the damage, actually, I think more than his damage, his shields. Because yeah, I believe it's every third auto attack or his boost attack, he gets a shield, which is why he's the best character for Score Shield, because he will always pretty much have a shield on him, and with Score Shield, he can just backdoor very easy. So he's just such a good Pokemon. I think a little bit tuned down a bit though. Honestly, I think instead of nerfing Lucario, probably just nerf Score Shield a bit is probably the better idea. And we got Wigglytuff, and I'm gonna end up putting Wigglytuff in third here, but really tied to Blastoise. So if we're gonna like go by real rules, I think Wiggly is obviously the best support because it is a support, but funny green background is actually it really plays as a defender. And yeah, this Pokemon is just Snorlax with a Snorlax with an OP ability. Like, you're not gonna have knockups, but I mean, you have rollout, which can knock enemies up. Your ability just pretty much chooses an opponent and it's like, oh, they can't do anything for a minute. Especially for melee characters, they're like, well, I can't do anything to you, and now I'm asleep, or now I'm knocked up. Oh, and now you just slapped me like 6 times in a row, and you're not dead. And it's just one of those Pokemon that just does everything too good. It is just insane stats, as good as Snorlax's overall, and actually has better special defense as well. So it's pretty funny. They just made a clone of Snorlax, but it ends up being slightly better because of sleep. Sleep is just so good. It's like has a better version of Snorlax's sleep, and your knockup is not as good as necessarily Snorlax's, but if you can bounce between walls, it actually ends up being a lot better than Snorlax's, so it's situational. But dude, the sleep is crazy. Dazzling Gleam does a good amount of damage, but I feel like sleep and double slap is just crazy right now. And last but certainly not least is Slowbro. Bottom B tier. He used to be my main, but then Blastoise came. This is the sad story of Slowbro. Literally, Blastoise is a better version of Slowbro in the sense that they're both defenders and they're ranged special attackers for a defense role. And Blastoise just does it a lot better. They nerf Slowbro Surf, and Blastoise has the best Surf in the game. And you're not going to run Scald on this guy. And so it's like, do I give myself a steroid with Amnesia, or do I use Telekinesis? And it depends on your situation. Either way, you're probably going to regret that because you should have just picked Blast. Oh, well, there's my tier list, guys, for the Blastoise patch. Hopefully we get another patch before mobile launch on, I believe, September 21st. Hopefully we get another patch because I would love to see how the meta shakes out, but this may be the last patch until that mobile release. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you enjoy this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time with more Pokemon Unite action. Peace out and have a good one.